Okay. I'm Charlene Sullivan. I'm a pastor at Ward Trace United Methodist Church, and I'm also on the board of directors for my father's house. And I'm gonna read over, I'm not gonna read over this front page. It's got the list of our board members, and it's got all the contact information there at the bottom. We just got our website back up and running. That should be the correct website address, same one we had last year. Our mission statement is My Father's House is a faith-based organization established to be the hands and feet of Christ. We will assist with temporary shelter and information of various services available to anyone that's displaced. And our vision statement is, My Father's House mission will help individuals see their worth in the eyes of Jesus Christ as they find their purpose and how to achieve it. We will show the love of Jesus, respect each other, share what we know, engage to show we care, and maintain integrity with strong moral principles. And the Bible verse that we picked to kind of represent ourselves is from Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. On our policies and procedures page 3, when you first come to serve, it may feel a little strange and different, especially if you've never volunteered anywhere before. But usually we find that the ones that come to stay here are just like us. They're just in a difficult situation, trying to find their way back to where they need to go. We've had 3 men this week, same 3 men all week, and they are all just as nice as they can be. Just struggling to get back on their feet for different reasons. They all have different reasons, and I don't even need to know what the reason is. Because everybody is going through different storms in our lives. But you'll find it gets to be, the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be doing it. First couple of times, you're unsure what you're doing and what you need to do. It's no big deal. We try to have a board member here each night as a director to kind of help if anybody needs help. So you won't be here on your own here. If there's any changes to the manual and procedures, we'll email all the volunteers and let us know any changes. You all had the volunteer application, and there's also a criminal background check, and our insurance company requires that. And I found out this week that if you volunteer, like next year, you only have to have the background check run about every 3 years. We didn't realize that. And there's a $10 charge for that. If you can give that to me today to make a check out, make it to my father's house, or you give me cash, whichever we'd rather do.
What if you don't have a check, or I don't think I have $10?
If you can run, are you in the area? We can run it by you.
I'm in Chaperone, but I come up here to go shopping all the time.
Okay.
When do you need to have it in by?
I'll probably turn it in the first of the week.
Okay, I'll be here, of course, tomorrow evening.
Okay, you can just leave it in. That'll be fine. That'll be fine.
So we did that last year.
If you served last year and had a background check done, you don't have to have the background check done again this year. Just make a note on your application, the background check, say it was done last year at the top. That's all I know to pull yours and put it with it. We keep up with attendance really close, volunteers and our guests, because we're going to try this year to get some grants to help with the facility, and hopefully eventually have our own place where we don't have to rent something and change from year to year, from place to place. It's kind of difficult. We've got somebody really good that's a volunteer at COPE, and he's got some really good grants at COPE, and he's on the board here, and he's going to work on getting us some grants. But that's one thing the government wants to know is numbers. How many? So we keep attendance of the volunteers and of our guests. And there's a sign-in sheet out there. That's the first thing anybody comes in, volunteers and guests. Well, there's a place for volunteers to sign in, and there's a place for guests to sign in.
So is this the location?
It will be here, And when we get done, I'll kind of walk you through where everything's set up. We're using the side rooms, because that big area up there is just gonna be too expensive, because this year we have to pay the utilities where we're at, plus the rent. So we're trying to keep overhead low, and these rooms stay warmer and easier and it's on a separate heating unit, so it's easier to keep it heated. We have boundaries and limitations. So please, we want to encourage you to maintain proper boundaries, and being kind and compassionate is important. But sometimes volunteers can get too friendly or too intrusive, ask too many questions, or offer too much assistance. The primary focus on your work here is to be a service to the guests, not to fulfill their personal needs. Last year we had them come up, can you go get me some cigarettes, somebody give you the money for it? No. You know, you need to think about that before you get here. You're out walking around, you can, buy your own cigarettes or whatever they need. If a personal issue arises in your life that might cause you difficulty fulfilling the responsibility, or you have to miss, you've signed up for a night, something's come up and you have to miss. Let someone that's on the list there on the board, let them know as soon as possible. And also, if something happens and you have to step down from being a volunteer for the rest of the year or for a couple of weeks, just let us know. And, we'll try to accommodate, because you're here to help us, and we want to, be flexible for you too. We need to keep confidential everything here, especially when you're working with people in vulnerable situations. They might share something with you. If they want to voluntarily share something, you can sit and listen, be a good listener. But we want to keep things confidential that we might hear here. Whatever's shared here with you stays here.
Charlene will leave his key, I'll be back.
Okay, okay, thank you. If a conflict should arise between you and another volunteer, or you and one of the guests, sometimes people just don't see eye to eye, they think there's different ways to do things. Contact one of the board members and let them know, and let them mitigate it and resolve it and take care of the problem. Of course, this is a substance-free environment, no drugs or alcohol. If you suspect any abuse or use, let one of the directors know. And we should have here a director each night as a supervisor to help you. So let them know, and they'll take care of the situation. We're at equal volunteering opportunity, the same as employment. Dress code, dress should be clean and modest, no holes. You're looking at everybody here, I think you're all gonna dress appropriately. And you might want to be sure to dress a little warmer than you might, or layer up, because it could get a little cool going in and out here, especially if you have to sit out here to check people in. We do have a heater with shelves, but it gets a little cool out there. Next page, gifts, tips, and soliciting. Sometimes a guest might offer you, I'll give you $5 if you go get me cigarettes, or if you let me use your cell phone, or they might feel kind of obligated because you're helping them. They want to give you something because you're helping them. We don't accept anything. Discourage that. We encourage the guests to help. We have one that he emptied the trash can and took it down to the dumpsters the other night without being asked. He just did where they at, and I was just going to take you wanted to help, do something to help. And that's fine if they want to help and help, because this is where they're living temporarily. So help take care of where they're living. But we just want to discourage any tips or gifts, or if you have a business that you think might help them, we don't want you soliciting your business. Never let the guests money or give them money, because once you start, they'll expect you to every time they ask you. So don't ever, even if it's just $1 or $2, don't give them money. Don't give them out your personal phone number or your address. I've had them get a hold of my cell phone number, and let me tell you, they'll blow your phone up and they won't leave you alone. I don't usually give my personal cell phone. This year I've got my father's house phone is forwarded to my phone. That way, it comes ringing on my phone, but nobody has my phone number. But it has been given out in the past years, and it can become a problem. They'll call you in the middle of the day wanting you to take them somewhere. Don't understand where you can't. Sexual harassment is not going to be tolerated between volunteers or guests or anyone. If you have any problem with that, immediately notify one of the board members that's listed on the front of your page. Incident reports, if you feel something unusual occurs that you feel like shouldn't have occurred, there's a green file box out here by the check-in table. And it has a folder that's labeled incident reports, and you'll fill that report out and be sure you give it to whatever supervisor you see next. So that they can handle, it's something that needs to go before the board to talk about, if it's emergency or a guest gets sick, or 911 has to be called, anything like that, you wanna make an incident report. Parking, we just wanted you to understand that when you park out here, you assume liability for any loss or damage. We're not responsible, our insurance won't cover that, we aren't responsible for that. Meetings, there might occasionally, we have it in the past, but occasionally we may have a meeting where we want the volunteers to come in and kind of brainstorm and share, they might have ideas, something you think we could do better or different after being here for a while. Smoking is not permitted inside my father's house for guests or volunteers. We have a designated smoking area that's around the corner of the building away from the front of the entrance. And the guest, once it's 8 o'clock, the front doors are locked, and if they go out, they cannot come back in after 8 o'clock. And no one's allowed in after 8 o'clock unless the sheriff's office, sometimes they will bring somebody they picked up that they found out that needs a place to sleep. We invite, during meals, we invite our volunteers to eat with our guests if you want to, sit and visit with them and talk with them. Last year we didn't do so much because of COVID. And thankfully last year we didn't have anybody get sick from COVID, guests or volunteers, and we want to keep it that way this year if possible. I'm not going to read over the sexual misconduct policy. Y'all can read over that yourself. It has reporting procedures if something was to happen. I want to get more into what you'll actually do. Page 7, volunteer positions. We'd love to have a volunteer coordinator that would organize and coordinate all the volunteers. That would also help recruit and support the volunteers. Speaking at civic clubs, right now I'm doing that. I talked with the Kiwanis Club Tuesday and shared with them. And social media, we'd love to have somebody do social media. I have to share, because it's blown my mind, I posted a picture on my father's house Facebook page. Y'all may have seen it. Monday night. We didn't have anybody Monday night, so I thought I'm gonna take some pictures of the setup. I posted it. Last night I checked and we had over 100,000 views. Yes, and about 1,500 people had shared the post. So every time somebody shares, all their friends see it, and they share it, and all their friends see it. That just told me, I'm probably to bed Monday night, it already reached 20,000 people. So, social media is a good way to get the word out there. Somebody to help schedule the volunteers. We use Sign Up Genius. It's online. You can go in once a week or once a day, whatever, however you want to do it, and look and see what spots are. It has a slot for each position we have each night, and it'll show if it's been filled or not. You can go on there and look, check and see if you suddenly decide you're free one night, you want to see if there's anything you can do. Right now we have a lot of open slots. This week the board has been pretty much filling most of the spots. So as soon as y'all can get on there, as soon as I get your paperwork, I'll email you all out the link to get on Sign Up Genius. The volunteer coordinator would also help any issues or emergencies that might arise. Overnight chaperone. We hope to eventually find somebody, a designated person that will pay a small token salary. I think it's $40 a night is what we designated. 4 or 5 nights a week, and maybe volunteers 2 nights a week. We found that it's easier to get volunteers to stay overnight on Friday and Saturday night, but during the week it's just really hard. Especially if you've got a job and you've got to sleep, stay up half the night. So we like to typically have a man and a woman here, because we never know if we're going to have a woman. Right now we don't have any, but one could walk in tonight, we don't have a woman to spend the night. We've got somebody kind of on call that can come in. So if you know somebody that maybe is on disability or Social Security, we try to keep it low, so somebody like that, it wouldn't hurt their Social Security or disability. Now, overnight chaperones, kind of, at least one of them stays alert during the night. They're responsible for being sure everybody stays inside, because they'll lock the doors. Be sure they go to bed when they're supposed to, get them up the next morning, get the coffee started, set out the food. We have basic, simple breakfast. It's not a big sit-down meal. We've got frozen sausage and biscuits and stuff like that in the freezer. There's fruit and donuts and all kinds of stuff. There's more stuff over here on the shelf, cereal and muffins. And make sure that they're out of the facility by 7 o'clock. They have to be off the grounds. One of the stipulations with the board when we rented this building is they don't want anybody loitering around. Last year they come, when we were up at Epiphany, they come and start sitting in the parking lot about 3 o'clock, waiting for us to open at 5. They don't want that here. Once it's 7 o'clock, they want to leave the premises, because sometimes they have things in other areas of the fairgrounds, and as this summer, they had some homeless that were hanging out and were like begging for beer. When they had a barbecue cook-off, some of the people doing cooking the barbecue had beer, and they were, begging for beer or cigarettes, and they don't want that, so we're trying to discourage that as much as possible. Evening meals coordinator, it'd be great if somebody could help coordinate the meals and to sign up for each night and kind of be sure that we don't have, spaghetti 3 nights in a row or chili 3 nights in a row or something. Breakfast coordinator, kind of the same thing, just be responsible and ensure that we have donated items, and breakfast items can be brought the night before and dropped off, since it's not like you're not cooking a fresh breakfast. And we found out they do not do good, they do not like breakfast casseroles. They just, they like stuff they can take with them and eat as they leave. Breakfast, now, if you sit down and cook bacon and eggs and biscuits and gravy, they'll eat that, but breakfast casseroles are just not too fond of. We do have, looking for someone to help do laundry twice a week. We have them strip the beds and all the laundry baskets ready to go. And we need somebody that can come pick it up and then bring it back in a couple of days. We'll do that twice a week. It could be 2 different people or the same person. We had the same person last year, but she said with health reasons this year, she's not gonna be able to do it. Housekeeping, every Saturday, it's nice to have somebody that come in and help spray everything down and sanitize everything. We've got some spray that we're gonna spray on everything nightly, but we need everything to do a good wipe down once a week to help keep germs out. Guest sign-in and intake. The person would be responsible for, we take the person's temperature when they come in, first thing. And if it's over 100.4, they cannot stay. We had a guy come in last night and his was 101 something. But he had on a sock hat and he looked like he was sweating. And somebody had driven him down here in a truck with the heat on. So I said, take your hat off. He was bald. I said, take your hat off and stand around for a little while. And it went down to like 98 something. So I said, we'll give you a few minutes and we'll check it again. But, that's a low grade temperature like that. It's a sign they could possibly have COVID. So, we also, we have a place on the sign-in sheet for you to record their temperature each night. Write it down there. And there's a COVID questionnaire that's out there, and we ask them if they have any symptoms of COVID. And there's a place to put on there yes or no on the sign-in sheet. Page 13, there's a copy of the sign-in sheet if you want to look at it.
So is there a place for them to go if they're sick?
No. We just encourage them to go to the health department or the hospital. That's all we can do. We encourage everybody to wear masks. It's not mandatory this year. We've got masks out there on the table, disposable ones, if somebody doesn't have one. We were coming in last night, so it's kind of hard to tell them to wear a mask if we don't have one on, But we encourage them to wear a mask, at least when they're sitting around close. If you're up doing something and not close to any of them, take the mask off. But if you're like sitting at a table talking to them while they're eating or something, put a mask on if you can, if you're comfortable doing that. The first time they visit, there's a form they have to fill out with all their contact information. I think there's a copy of that in here too on page 16. No, that's the policy participation form. I think there's a copy of their form is in here.
Yes, registration 16.
16, okay. They'll only fill that out once. And we have a book that it goes in. On the back side of it, it's got the month and the days, and that's how we keep their attendance. When you check them in, you'll go to the book and see if they've been here before. If they hadn't, have them fill out one of those forms. And if they have been here before, you go back and flip onto the back side of their page, and go to the date and put yes or a check mark, something denoting that they're here. That way we know that they've been here every night this week, or they were here 2 nights, Monday and Tuesday night, and then they came back Friday night or whatever, so we can keep attendance. They're also given the first night a policy participation route. It has a list of rules that we ask them to follow while they stay here. And they're on the next page, here on page 10. And there's a place for them to sign on their guest registration form at the bottom, saying that they've read the rules and they agree to abide by them. If they do not abide by them, we usually try to give them at least a second chance to correct whatever they've done, unless it's something really severe, to stay. We have had in the past had to ask people to leave and not come back because they would not abide by the rules. And that's for everyone's volunteer safety and the guest safety also. We have a metal detector wand that you'll scan them when they come in, every time they come in. They have any metal, usually they go ahead and they know you're gonna scan them and start emptying all their pockets and everything. And if they have a weapon, like a knife or something, which is no big deal, we haven't had anybody come in with a gun, we've had some with a knife. We have envelopes out there that you can put it in, write their name on it and seal it. We'll lock it up that night, and they can have it back the next morning when they leave. We just don't want them to have it in here. We do the same if they have any medication. We don't want it laying around and somebody else getting into it. We put their name on the envelope and lock the medication up until they need it. We get it out for them when they need it. If they refuse to hand over their weapon, then you can then ask them to leave nicely and politely. If they don't want to, then feel free to call 911 and ask to have 911 come remove them from the premises. We'd love to find somebody that has a passion for fundraising, that could take that and just run with it, because none of us really have the time to it. I've never done fundraising, and I don't have the time for it, but somebody that's, used to doing nonprofit fundraising, that's used to organizing it and publicizing it and everything, it would be wonderful to find somebody, because we're at the point where we want to start doing some fundraising so we can possibly in the next year or two have our own place. We have a devotional every night, about 10 or 15 minute short devotional. I've got devotional books I've been doing them out of. We try to keep it short and non-denominational, just including Christian values. Or, if you love to sing, come share a couple of songs with them. One of us just sitting here, I had my grandchildren here last night. And one of them they're going to sing up on the square today. She was singing Christmas songs and some church songs. And he started singing with her, and they were sitting singing. So they enjoy music. So if or if you want to bring somebody for your church, if they're not going to really interact with the guest, you can bring somebody that hasn't had the background check done or gone through training. It's like if somebody just wants to drop off a meal, they're not going to stay and serve it. Or come in, a group from your church wants to come and sing for the devotional. As long as they aren't interacting with the guest, that's okay. We'd love to have somebody that knows something about websites. We've got somebody that knows enough to get it done, but we'd love to have somebody that really knows how to do a website and can keep it updated, and also the media. Maybe there's one person that can do that, because it gets to be a little much at times. The next page has a participation policy. Very simple, basic rules. No cursing or taking the Lord's name in vain. Face mask, there's a typo there. Face masks are strongly encouraged except when eating or sleeping. They'll fill out the registration sheet and the sex offender status info on their first visit. I don't know if it says that here and anything else about that, but I gave you all a card. And if you go to the, whatever your phone you have, the app where you get your apps, and type in that ASOPW. That's the National Sex Offender Registry.
Is it ASO or is it NSO?
NSO. NSOPW, it's the U.S. Department of Justice. And it's usually a little black icon. And it's real simple to use. Once you have it loaded on your phone, you open that app and there's a little search engine at the top, a little magnifying glass. You just type in their name and hit search. And usually it'll come up, either if it's a common name, it'll have like a little list of people, and you can look at it and see if any of them, it usually has a picture, or the age, or it'll say not found. As long as they're not on there, there's no problem. If they're on there, let whoever supervisor's here, let them know, and they'll pull them aside discreetly and let them know they cannot stay.
So
You
do
don't
we
have to, you don't
search
have to.
them?
Huh?
Do we search them?
Yes, you'll pull it up on your phone and do the search, yeah.
So that would be for
Anytime.
that would be for
Or-
each applicant or each, gentleman that can, or, you
The
know?
first time they're here.
Okay,
The first time, you don't have to every night they come, but the first time they're here, their initial visit.
So this would be basically for somebody who's doing sign in.
Yes.
For the first.
We ask them to be courteous and respectful to everyone else in the shelters, the other guests, along with the volunteers. No alcohol, drugs, knives, guns, weapons are allowed on the premises. If you're under the influence of drugs or alcohol, you will voluntarily leave. If you refuse, 911 will be notified. Smoking in designated areas only. No spitting on the floor. We hadn't had anybody that's really chewed or spit. But, and like I said, the designated smoking areas around the corner of the building. Plus, we had them kind of out front last night, and they opened the doors and you could smell the smoke. One person per bed only, except if there's a small child with a parent. And we do, if there's a family, a husband and wife and children, we do ask the husband to sleep in with the men, and then the mother can have the child in with her, whether it's a boy or a girl, as long as it's, a small child. If it's a teenager, we put them in with his father. We ask them to bathe or shower at least every 2 days. They don't have to every day. But we have showers here, we have several, and they were talking last night about how it was so hot, nice, it felt so good and hot, he didn't want to get out of there once he got in it. We ask that when they come out of the shower that they're fully clothed, not come out in their underwear, or, towel wrapped around them, whatever, be fully clothed when they come out of the shower. We ask them in the mornings that they're fully dressed in their street clothes when they leave, not have their pajama pants on or whatever at 7 o'clock. Once we get to see if they're gonna be regular, we'll give them a little task or job to help do around here, to help clean up, sweep, empty trash, different things. And of course, they must be off the fairground property at 7 a.m. due to our lease agreement with the fairgrounds. Okay, our daily agenda, this is kind of it's not set in stone, we can be a little flexible, but not too flexible. 5 p.m., we start check-in. We encourage them to wear a mask, check their temperature, we kind of went over that, and sign in. First time attendees will sign the guest register. Get a copy of the participation policy. Every night a sign-in sheet will be used, and then we'll transfer their information to the back of their sheet for their attendance. Guests will be scanned with a metal detector. We'll ask them to wash their hands and use hand sanitizer. And we'll have a sign-up sheet, if there's a lot of them, we'll have a sign-up sheet for them to take showers. And bed linens are passed out. Right now we have clean linens on all the beds already. Around 6 p.m. supper served. We use paper products, so it's easy cleanup. We have water, tea, or coffee to drink. We typically like 2 people to serve, and if you're here helping check in, you can stay and help serve if you need to. Due to COVID, we're not letting them go through. This is usually where we put the food. The first couple of years, we've had buffet style, let them go through and we fix their plates. But due to COVID, we fix their plates and take them to them. They're already sitting at the table. Around 6:45, between 6:30 and 6:45, a short devotional. On here it has 7 o'clock, but we've decided we're going to go with 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, no one's admitted unless they're escorted by the police. From 7:30 till bedtime, it's free time. They can sit around. We have a TV. We've got to get mounted in here. We've got a few books. We're going to try and get some puzzles and games, some quiet stuff for them to do. So we just sit around and visit and talk quietly. They start getting ready for bed at 9 o'clock. Lights out at 9:30. And a lot of times, like last night, they were eating supper and they were about ready to go to bed and eat supper. They were tired. They'd been walking. He said he probably walked 10 miles yesterday for all the walking he did. It was cold. You're out in the cold and you're walking. You're worn out. And you get some hot food in your stomach, you're ready to go to sleep. So last year we found some of them would come in and they would eat and they would get ready for bed and they'd just go in bed. They were ready to go to bed. The next morning, the chaperone gets up at 6 o'clock, overnight chaperone, it starts coffee and pulls out some breakfast items. Goes ahead and wakes everybody up and gets them to get started getting dressed. If they know they're not gonna come back the next night, we ask them to go ahead and strip their bed, put their linens in the clothes basket. If they know they're gonna come back the next night, they can leave their bed, but we ask them to make it up so it's neat looking. And then when it's laundry day, then we'll have them strip the bed. Breakfast is typically something quick and easy they can take with them, something microwavable, orange juice, yogurt, fruit, coffee, things like that, pastries. By 6:45, we expect the dining area to be clean and everybody in the bedding area to start collecting what they brought, because they cannot leave their things here, they have to take them with them when they leave. 7 o'clock, we ask them they need to be off the premises. The overnight chaperone, there's on laundry day, takes it to the front door for whoever's picking up laundry to be there. Kind of clean we've got a kitchen back there, but it's just easier to do everything in here, but we can go back there and wash out stuff in the sink if we need to. They kind of do just a little straightening up, sweep if you need to, the overnight chaperone. We've got some disinfectant to spray on the tables and chairs and the beds. Just do some light sanitizing things before they leave. Spray the handles and take the trash out. There's a dumpster down here by the open pavilion at the backside of it, to take the trash out there. I'm gonna let y'all read yourself the Tennessee Samaritan Code. It's about what your responsibility is if you help somebody that's in need. You can read that yourself. It also has the COVID screening, the questions that they need to know, and we'll have one of those laying out on the table for them to look at. The next 2 pages are copies of the sign-in sheet. That will be out there on the table for them to sign in when they first come in. They'll sign that every night. And then the first night they'll do the guest registration form is the next page. They'll just do that once. And it has, we want to definitely try and get contact information. Unfortunately, last year we had a guest that died. He died while he was at work. Young man, he has some health problems. And, thankfully, we had his contact, if they say they don't have anybody, well, at least somebody that they know. It doesn't have to be kin to them, but somebody that they know we can contact if something were to happen to them. There's a place for them to say that they've read the participation policy and sign that they understand. And there's also a place for them to say, we ask them, have they ever been convicted of sexual misconduct or abuse? And we'll let them put yes or no, but then that's when they give us this paperwork back, that's when we will take and do check them on the National Sex Registry. And then we ask them if they've been vaccinated for COVID, yes or no. We don't turn them away if they say no, it would be nice to know if they have or not. This next page is just a page that you had, the consent for the background check.